Throughout history, some of the most powerful dictators ruled through fear and control, but when their power collapsed, their endings were often dramatic and unexpected. Here are the final moments of three infamous dictators: Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Saddam Hussein. Adolf Hitler, the dictator who plunged Europe into World War II, spent his final days hidden in a bunker beneath Berlin. It was April 1945, and the city was crumbling under the relentless advance of Allied forces. Inside the bunker, the situation became hopeless. Soviet forces were closing in on Berlin, and the war was effectively over. On April 30th, 1945, Hitler took his own life inside the bunker as his regime collapsed. We transitioned to Italy in 1945, where Benito Mussolini, the face of Italian fascism, saw his world unravel. As Allied forces pushed forward, Mussolini attempted to flee north, disguised among a retreating German convoy. However, resistance fighters recognized him near Dongo. Captured and held overnight, Mussolini met his end on April 28 at the hands of the resistance, marking a brutal end to his contentious rule. Fast forward to 2003, in Iraq, where Saddam Hussein, who had long wielded power with an iron fist, also met his downfall. Following a swift military campaign by coalition forces, Saddam's regime crumbled. He became a fugitive, evading capture for months, but on December 13th, a dramatic event unfolded. U.S. forces discovered Saddam in a spider hole near his hometown of Tikrit, disheveled and unyielding. Saddam Hussein's capture marked the end of his decades-long rule over Iraq. For many Iraqis, it symbolized the collapse of a regime that had ruled the country through fear and force. History often shows the same pattern. Dictators may hold power for years, but when their rule ends, it usually ends suddenly. These stories serve as reminders of how power can rise and how it can fall. In history, the final moments of powerful dictators often carry powerful lessons. Today, we look at the fall of two infamous rulers, Nicolae Ceaușescu of Romania and Muammar Gaddafi of Libya. Their stories show how even the most powerful regimes can collapse when people rise up against them. In 1989, Romania stood on the edge of revolution. Nicolae Ceaușescu had ruled the country with strict control for decades, suppressing dissent and opposition. But across Eastern Europe, communist governments were beginning to fall. During a public speech in Bucharest, something unexpected happened. Instead of cheering, the crowd began to boo and shout. The moment marked the beginning of the end of Ceaușescu's rule. As protests spread across the country, even the Romanian military turned against him. Ceaușescu and his wife Elena attempted to flee the capital, but they were soon captured by the army. On December 25, 1989, the couple faced a rapid military trial and were executed the same day. Their fall marked the dramatic end of one of Eastern Europe's most rigid dictatorships. More than 2 decades later, another uprising shook the world. In 2011, the Arab Spring spread across the Middle East and North Africa. In Libya, protests erupted against the long rule of Muammar Gaddafi, who had controlled the country for more than 40 years. As the uprising grew, Gaddafi attempted to crush the rebellion with military force, but the conflict escalated quickly, drawing international attention and intervention. Eventually, rebel forces surrounded Gaddafi's hometown of Sirte. On October 20th, 2011, he was captured while trying to escape and was killed shortly afterward. The fall of Ceaușescu and Gaddafi shows a pattern repeated throughout history. History shows the same pattern again and again. Dictators may hold power for years, but when their control collapses, it often happens suddenly and dramatically.